She always slept on her stomach, face turned away, left hand curled near her pillow like she was shielding a secret. It was 1:12 a.m. when her phone lit up on the nightstand. Not once, 3 times. Back to back. Buzz. Pause. Buzz. Buzz. I was awake. I hadn't been sleeping well, not for the past few weeks. Something felt off lately. She'd started showering at weird hours, guarding her screen like it held nuclear codes, laughing at texts she wouldn't explain. I chalked it up to freelance deadlines, friends venting, normal stuff. But the gut doesn't lie, and mine had been screaming. So when that screen lit up in the dark, I turned my head, and I saw it. New match. Tapped a message. The app name said Lure. Not one I'd heard of. Definitely not one we ever talked about. I knew the icons for Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, hell, even OkCupid if you're nostalgic. But Lure? That was new. And it wasn't just a leftover account. The notification said new match. That meant she'd been active. Swiping. Looking. Connecting. While lying beside me every night. I stared at the glow of the screen, that little banner fading into the dark again like it never happened. But I saw it. I knew what I saw. For 20 minutes I lay there, my eyes burning holes into the ceiling. She shifted in her sleep, pulled the blanket tighter. Meanwhile, my pulse wouldn't slow. My jaw locked so hard I started to taste metal. Then came the second mistake. I picked up her phone. It was already unlocked. Probably scanned her face before she fell asleep. No password. No barrier. Just access. I told myself not to look, that it would make things worse. But something stronger than logic pulled my thumb to that screen. The app was still running in the background. One tap. That's all it took. There she was. Profile name L. Age 29. Writer. Single. A profile picture in a sundress I'd never seen. Another one with a wine glass by a hotel pool. Then a mirror selfie I knew damn well she didn't send to me. The bio hit harder than the photos. Just here for deep conversation and maybe something casual. Nothing serious. No clingy types. Nothing serious. No clingy types. 14 months together. She met my family. We talked about adopting a dog. She picked the paint color for the hallway I remodeled by hand. And now she's out here pretending she's unattached. Like I never existed. That's the moment something snapped. I locked her phone, set it gently back on the nightstand, and rolled onto my back. My heart didn't slow. My thoughts didn't scatter. Everything focused. I didn't ask questions. I didn't shake her awake. No scene. No drama. Because I wasn't going to play victim. I was going to find out who she really was. And if she wanted to live a double life, then I was going to show her just how dangerous that game could get. The next morning, I didn't confront her. Not yet. That would have been stupid. Instead, I played it cool. Coffee. Toast. Morning kiss on her cheek. She was wrapped in my hoodie, scrolling her phone like nothing happened. She even laughed at something and told me to remind her to send a follow-up to a client. I watched her talk and realized something simple and devastating. She had done this before. Maybe not with me. Maybe not on this scale. But she'd played both sides before. That casual ease, that wasn't guilt. That was muscle memory. So while she was showering, I pulled out my laptop and made a burner Gmail account. Then downloaded the Lure app again, but this time on a clean, virtual device profile. No links to my name, contacts, or photos. I created a fake identity. Ben, 32 years old. New to town. Profile photo? Random guy I found on an old Reddit thread. Aviators. Just the right balance of harmless and smug. I used a VPN to spoof a nearby address. Created a brand new backstory, former recruiter, now exploring freelance life. Women eat that stuff up on dating apps. In the bio I wrote, no pressure. No lies. Just something real. Irony didn't even sting anymore. I hit go. First few swipes were strangers. Then I saw her. L. Age 29. Writer. Single. Same bio. No clingy types. Nothing serious. Just conversation and fun. I stared at the screen for a long time before swiping right. Heart pounding. Stomach tight. It's a match. Seconds later, she messaged me first. Hey there. I stared at her message like I'd been shot. This woman had been living in my house, sleeping in my bed, talking about building a future, and within seconds of matching a random stranger, she was in flirt mode. I answered. Kept it light. Hey. Didn't think I'd match with someone this fast. She replied almost instantly. Haha, yeah, the pool's kinda dry here. I usually avoid locals. Last one got way too attached. Way too attached? I read that 3 times. She was talking about me. I tested her. Yikes. Clingy. Yeah. Sweet guy. But couldn't handle me, you know? What does that mean? I move fast. I don't do drama. He wanted deep stuff. I just wanted fun. So you're not looking for serious? God, no. Life's too short for that. God, no. That one hit harder than it should have. I looked through our shared calendar the night before. She had added anniversary dinner ideas to next Friday, wrote a little heart next to it, told me she was excited to finally meet my brother. All of it fake. That's when I took it further. I asked, been single long? Over a year now. Haven't even dated seriously since. We'd been together for 14 months. She was sitting just one room away, watching some reality show, probably texting one of the other guys she met on this app under a blanket I bought her last Christmas. I didn't slam anything. Didn't pace. Just stood there. I needed more than screenshots. I needed answers. And leverage. That night, I checked the app's code behavior. Lure wasn't built by amateurs. End-to-end encryption. Photo compression masked geodata, but not completely. I knew how to pull metadata from older images. There were timestamps, image IDs, patterns, and one file she posted taken in my house 6 weeks ago, while I was out of town for work. She used my space to pose for strangers. Maybe more. I didn't delete the app. I didn't unmatch. I saved everything. Every word. Every photo. Every detail. Then I opened my notepad and wrote 3 names. Hers. Mine. Ben. Because now, I was in this story too. And I wasn't playing the role of the sweet, confused boyfriend anymore. I was about to become the one thing she couldn't ghost. The consequence. I stayed up that night mapping out the angles. It wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was about structure. There was something too polished about her profile. The photos weren't lazy selfies. They were curated, filtered, all taken at different locations, different lighting, carefully chosen outfits. It didn't smell like casual cheating. It smelled like strategy. I started compiling what I had. Image metadata showed locations outside our home too. One photo was geotagged from the balcony of a condo complex across town. She said she was at a riding retreat that weekend. Now I had a different story. Then came the usernames. She'd used the name L on Lure. But when I cross-referenced the photo file names, I noticed they were uploaded under a secondary username embedded in the file string. Ray West. Ray, not Lila. That wasn't just a nickname. I dug into it. Found that same alias connected to 2 other dating sites. One had a full portfolio, 20 pictures, a different bio, and even a linked Cash App. She'd been getting paid. I backed away from the screen for a second. This wasn't emotional cheating. This was organized. She had accounts, schedules, money transfers. She was using her looks, her charm, and her presence in my home to run an operation. I clicked deeper. On one of the forums connected to her alias, I saw a post by another user, Coastal Jack, complaining about being ghosted after sending money for a beach weekend that never happened. She was using our vacations as bait. Same cabin I took her to in July? A photo of her on that same porch, captioned, "Wishing you were here." That picture wasn't for me. I ran her phone number through a reverse lookup tool. It pinged back to a prepaid line. Disposable. Registered under a different name. One that linked to 2 more accounts, escort sites. That's when it hit me like a punch in the throat. I hadn't just been lied to. I'd been funding it. Rent. Groceries. Spa days. Her riding retreats. I paid for the costume while she sold the performance. She wore the hoodie I gave her on our 1-year anniversary in a video clip, smiling for someone else. My name was never mentioned in any of it. I was a ghost in her real life. By 4 a.m., I had a folder full of screenshots, profiles, and usernames. The timeline went back a year, starting barely 3 months into our relationship. I sat there, staring at the last photo she'd uploaded. Her on a hotel bed, biting her lip, captioned, "No strings attached. Just vibes." No strings? That's when I made a decision. If she didn't believe in strings, I was going to show her what it feels like when they snap all at once. She was in the kitchen making tea when I dropped the flash drive on the counter. She looked at it like I'd handed her a dead rat. What's this? You tell me, I said, before I start playing the highlights. She didn't move, didn't touch the drive. Her eyes flicked to mine and then narrowed, calculating. Okay, she said, slowly. What's this about? I stepped forward. Calm. Controlled. Ray West. Coastal Jack. The prepaid line. The lure profile. All of it. You want me to keep going? She flinched. Barely. Then straightened her spine. You went through my phone? You were sloppy, I said. You left the door wide open and I walked through. Found a whole damn circus on the other side. She sighed. Loud. Theatrics. Oh, grow up, Jake. It's not like I slept with any of them. I laughed. A short, bitter sound. That's your defense? Her mouth twisted into something between a smirk and a grimace. I flirted. That's it. I needed a little attention. We were getting stale. You were always working, always stressed, never present. And you were present? While you were posing in my house, texting men who Venmo'd you gas money. While I was out of town breaking my back to keep this roof over our heads. You don't get it. Her voice sharpened. This wasn't about sex. It was about power. About not feeling like I was just your shadow. I stepped closer. You were my partner. Not my shadow. I would have given you everything. And you traded it for grocery money and compliments from strangers. She shrugged. Actually shrugged. You think I'm the only one doing this? You think women don't get tired of waiting for men to catch up emotionally? Sometimes we just skip the wait. I stared at her, waiting for regret. A crack. A flicker of shame. Nothing. That's when I pulled my phone out and hit play. A voice, hers, played through the speaker. Yeah, no, he has no idea. Sweet guy, but dumb. I could tell him I was going to a book club, and he'd believe I was meeting Oprah. Her expression froze, then turned cold. You recorded me? You made me, I said. You turned our life into a game. I just learned how to play it better. She crossed her arms. So what now? You gonna post it? Embarrass yourself and me? No, I said. I don't need public revenge. I held up a manila envelope and tossed it on the counter next to the flash drive. What's that? Your exit package. The lease is in my name. I changed the locks tomorrow. I already notified your job, told them you were relocating. I sent a copy of your profile to every client you've pitched in the last year. Your brand's dead. Her jaw dropped, finally. A visible hit. You wouldn't. I already did. She lunged for the phone. I stepped back. No more talking. You have 24 hours to get out. She was breathing hard. Eyes wild now, like a cornered animal. You're not the man I thought you were, she spat. No, I said. I'm worse. She packed fast. I gave her 24 hours. She was gone in 12. Didn't take much. 2 suitcases, a makeup bag, and the hard drive I'd already wiped. No drama, no screaming, just the hiss of air leaving a balloon. I watched from the window as she dragged her stuff into a rideshare and never looked back. The silence afterward felt like morphine. No lies. No fake laughs. No second-guessing if the woman in my bed was texting a stranger 5 feet away. I cleaned the apartment from top to bottom. Opened the windows. Burned the blanket she used on the couch. Changed the sheets. Changed the locks. Changed the whole damn energy of the place. By the 3rd night, I thought it was over. I thought I'd won. That was my mistake. The package came on a Wednesday. Plain brown envelope. No return address. Just my name, typed in bold, taped to the front. It was already sitting on my doorstep when I got home. Inside? A single item. A key. Metal, small, old. Attached to it, a folded sheet of paper. No greeting. No goodbye. Just 6 words. Since you like digging so much. No signature. My stomach turned. Not from fear. From instinct. This wasn't over. And she knew it. I dropped the envelope on the kitchen table, laid out everything key, note, and flash drive. Labeled it Phase 2. Because that's what it felt like now. A new game. Different rules. And whatever this key unlocked, it meant one thing. She was baiting me. But for what? A trap? Or the last thread of her mask unraveling? Either way, I was going to follow it. Because whatever secret she thought she could bury, I was going to dig it out and shove it in the light. It was a throwaway comment at the time. Back in March, she mentioned her storage unit while we were driving to AITA. Said something about keeping old stuff from college she hadn't sorted through. I offered to help, and she waved it off like it was nothing. I remembered that. It clicked the second I held that key. She thought I'd forget, but I didn't. I searched my notes app. I log everything. And sure enough, buried in a shared shopping list was a pin location she'd dropped in, U-Store Midtown, Unit 417B. I'd asked her about it once, and she played it off like she was helping a friend move boxes. Bullshit. That night, I drove over. Place was closed, but the fence was old, with a blind spot where the streetlight was busted. I parked 2 blocks away, walked it on foot, ducked through the gap, and found the row. Unit 417B. Same tag. Same lock. Key slid in like it was never meant to leave her hand. The air inside hit me like a tomb, stale, chemical, and wrong. It smelled like old perfume, mold, and shame. And what was in there? Not college boxes. Bags. Files. Shoes. Lingerie. Multiple IDs. 2 driver's licenses, same face, different names. Fake social media printouts. Contracts. Envelopes of cash with sticky notes. Friday drop, 9 p.m., retainer from Paul, no follow-up. Then I saw the wall. Polaroids. Dozens of them. Her. With men. Sometimes kissing. Sometimes more. All smiling. All unaware. And in the bottom right corner of every photo, a timestamp. Dates. Times. Locations. A few of them overlapped with our own anniversaries. I stared at one for too long, her with some guy in a black SUV. Her hair tied up the exact same way she wore it the night we had dinner at my parents'. She ghosted my mom's birthday party that night. Claimed food poisoning. She was getting railed in a parking lot 30 minutes away. There were files labeled by month, client names, cash logs, even a few voice memos. I played one. It was her laughing, saying, "No, he thinks I'm at a work mixer. I'll be back by midnight. He never checks." I turned it off. For a few seconds, the world went completely silent. She didn't just cheat. She didn't just lie. She built a career out of deception. Out of me. Out of every man who believed her giggles and excuses and told themselves they were overthinking it. She was the storm, and I was the umbrella she used to stay dry while she soaked the rest of the world. I took pictures of everything. Every folder. Every photo. I boxed some of it up. Not to report her. Not yet. I wanted her to know I saw it all. I left a sticky note on the metal door when I left. Thanks for the tour. It was just after 11 p.m. when I heard the knock. 3 short, sharp taps. Not loud. Not urgent. Measured. I knew it was her before I opened the door. Not because of some romantic instinct. Because I'd seen that rhythm before. It was how she used to knock when her hands were full and she needed me to come open it. Same beat. Same manipulation. I opened the door halfway. She looked awful. Hair pulled back. No makeup. Sweatpants, hoodie, one of mine, actually. Eyes puffy, lips chapped. "Jake," she said, voice cracking. I didn't speak. "I know you saw the unit," she continued. "Please, let me talk. I know how it looks." "No," I cut her off. "It looks exactly how it is." She swallowed hard, nodded, like she'd expected that. "Okay. Fine. I deserve that. But you need to know something. Someone else was there." I tensed. "What?" She stepped in before I could stop her, holding up her hands like she was unarmed. "I went back the next day, after I got your note. I was going to clear it all, burn it if I had to. But the door was open. The place was trashed. Files gone. Photos taken." She paused, and this was on the ground. She held out a crumpled note. "You're next." Written in red Sharpie. Nothing else. No name. I asked. She shook her head. "But I have an idea." She dropped into the chair like her legs gave out. "Remember, Brent? The one with the lake house?" I narrowed my eyes. I'd seen the name in the logs. Big payments. Repeat visits. One of her regulars. Yeah. What about him? He wasn't just a mark. He was different. Obsessed. I tried to end it. But he started showing up. Leaving gifts. Once I found a photo of us on my windshield with his number written on it. I told him to back off, he laughed. "And now he's what?" "Stalking you." She nodded slowly. "I think he found the unit. I think he saw everything. Not just what I did to you, but what I did to all of them." I leaned against the counter, arms folded. "Why are you telling me this?" She hesitated. "Because you're the only one who knows the whole story. And because If anything happens to me, I know you're the only person who might care enough to tell the truth. I laughed. Sharp. Cold. I don't care what happens to you. Her eyes welled up. Jake. I raised a hand. But I do care what happens to me. And now you've dragged me into your nightmare again. I'm sorry, she whispered. I never meant to hurt you. Stop, I said. You meant to hide. You meant to control. Everything else was just fallout. She stood, took a shaky breath. I'll go. I just needed you to know. I watched her walk to the door. Before she opened it, she turned. If he finds me, he'll come for the files. And you have them now. I didn't respond. She left. And just like that, I wasn't just a victim anymore. I was a witness. A target. And I had to decide if I was willing to keep playing her game. Or burn the whole board. I saw it the next morning. Parked across the street. Black Cadillac Escalade. Windows tinted pitch. Not moving. Not idling. Just there. It was the same vehicle I saw in one of her Polaroids. Back then, I didn't know it was his. I do now. At 7:04 a.m., I stepped out to take the trash. He didn't budge. At 9:11, I walked past the living room window. His headlights flicked on and off again. Message received. At 10:36, I grabbed my camera and stepped outside like I was going for coffee. Click. One shot. Clear plate. New York registration. By noon, he was gone. But it didn't end there. At 3 p.m., my front door handle clicked. Someone tried turning it. Once. Then silence. I didn't chase. I didn't scream. I went into my office, pulled the external drive with all the files from her storage unit, and tucked it into a manila envelope marked in case I disappear. Then I sent a text to a contact I hadn't reached out to in years. Mason. Still at the paper? About something wild if you've got time to listen. And no, it's not about politics. This is personal. 30 minutes later, I was sitting across from him at a dive bar 2 miles from downtown. Mason had been a crime reporter for nearly 15 years. We went to high school together, fell out, and reconnected when his story on a police corruption scandal blew up 5 years back. I slid him the envelope. He flipped it open. His face changed. Jesus Christ, he muttered. Is this real? Every name, every date, every photo. She kept logs. Some of these guys are married with kids. Some have power. Some have money. He kept reading. And who's this guy? Brent. Real name unknown. High-value client. Possibly obsessive. Possibly violent. Probably the one tailing me now. You go to the cops? I shook my head. No point. I've got nothing but hearsay unless he attacks me. And if he does, it'll be clean. He's done this before. I can feel it. Mason leaned back. All right. I'll dig. Quietly. But Jake, he leaned forward. If half this stuff's legit, you've got a bomb in your hands. I nodded. I know. I didn't light it. But it's ticking in my lap. He tucked the envelope away. You think she planned this from the start? She planned everything, I said. Until she couldn't anymore. That night, I parked 2 blocks away from my own place. Sat in the dark, watching the street. He wasn't there. But I knew he would be. And next time, he wouldn't just watch. I wasn't going to wait to be hunted. So I flipped the board. It started with a new folder, anonymized, scrubbed clean, uploaded to a cloud server with a single access link. No names, no metadata. Just raw evidence. Photos, logs, voice memos, payments. Everything from her second life. I titled it, Client List, High Risk. Then I sent one email. Not to the cops. Not to her. Not to Brent. To every man in those files. Anonymized. Blind copied. Subject line. Someone you know is lying to you. Body. You've paid for the lie. You've protected it. But she didn't just cheat on you. She kept records. And now they're public. Click here and see for yourself. Some opened it within minutes. Others within hours. By nightfall, phones were ringing across 3 states. I stayed offline. Watched from a burner. Then came the fallout. One client, a married corporate VP, leaked the files to a journalist. Another? An off-duty detective whose name showed up in her gift log. By morning, it was wildfire. Headlines. Social media threads. Secret sex for cash scandal exposes dozens. High-powered men tied to anonymous dossier. And in the middle of it all? Brent. Because he wasn't just a client. He was a financier. He paid for the unit, paid for silence. And the kicker? I found a wire transfer from his company to hers labeled consulting. 6 figures. That was the nail. The next night, Brent showed up again, different vehicle, darker windows, but I was ready. I'd rented a room across the street, mounted a camera aimed at my building's front door. At 11:46 p.m., he stepped out. Ball cap, gloves. He didn't knock. He used a bump key, popped the lock like a pro, stepped inside. 3 minutes later, police sirens. I triggered a silent alarm as soon as he touched the door. He walked out as they pulled in. Calm. Hands up. They found the knife in his jacket. Not huge, but sharp. Personal. Intentional. They also found the burner phone with 6 missed calls from her. She knew. She was trying to warn him. I watched it unfold from across the street, sipping bad motel coffee. Cold. Bitter. Perfect. Brent didn't say a word. Not when they cuffed him. Not when they read him his rights. Not when they shoved him into the back of the cruiser. She called me 6 times that night. Left 4 voicemails. Last one was just a whisper. You ruined everything. I smiled for the first time in weeks. No, I muttered. You did. It took 4 days for everything to burn down. The article went national. Syndicated. Cable news ran it with blurred faces and buzzwords like exploitation, digital blackmail, and illicit networks run by educated women in plain sight. They didn't mention her name at first, but that changed when Brent's attorney released a statement claiming he was a victim, duped by a manipulative woman with a history of emotional entrapment. So the press turned to her. Her face, her real one, not the filters, hit every screen in America. The same lips that once told me she loved me were now on split screen with anchors asking if she'd be charged under federal law. She went into hiding. Not official witness protection, but close. She deactivated everything. Her business shut down overnight. And the last I heard, she fled the country, used a passport under one of her aliases. Brazil, maybe, or Cyprus. Doesn't matter. She'll never step foot here again without handcuffs waiting at customs. Brent, he's still inside, facing multiple charges, breaking and entering, unlawful surveillance, attempted assault. But none of that mattered to me, because I was done. I deleted everything. Burner phone, backup drives, cloud server wiped. Only kept one thing, the sticky note from her storage unit. Thanks for the tour. It's in a drawer. I look at it sometimes. Not out of regret, out of study. A reminder of what happens when you ignore instinct. When you let charm blind you to patterns. When you choose comfort over confrontation. I moved. Different city. Different job. Smaller apartment. Fewer people. I don't date much. Not because I'm broken. Because I know what broken people can do when they're wearing the right smile. Last month, I saw a woman on the train reading a romance novel. She looked up, caught me watching, smiled politely. Her eyes were kind. But something in me flinched. That's what she took from me. Not trust. Certainty. She turned love into an equation I'll never solve again. But maybe that's okay. Some stories don't end with forgiveness or redemption. Some end with a man sitting alone at 2 a.m., drinking cold coffee, whispering, never again, and meaning it.